Hello to like all of you. There's a shit ton of people, I think, anyway. So, well, we're happy to be here. I'm from HempStreet. We're a research retail medical cannabis company from India. Most of you probably didn't know that it was legal in India. It's federally legal under Ayurveda. All right, stand on the cross. Yeah, sure. And well, we'll give you a bit of a story on why we got into this business and what are one of the most pressing issues that I think cannabis can solve. So if you look at the US opioid crisis, I mean, I don't need to explain it to anybody. It's killing a lot of people. It's caused a lot of damage, and it costs a lot to manage. And opioids per se are not bad. They're essential for people in palliative care. They're essential for people with acute pain, but they were dispensed wrongly. And it's essential that anything that comes after opioids, anything that's related to chronic pain, or anything that has the potential to be overprescribed needs to be regulated. So the idea is that patients should receive safe access, but not at the expense of responsible dispensation. Now, if you look at India, India actually has an opioid crisis that you probably haven't read about, but there are 25 million opioid users in India, 1.3 million in a very critical state. So the Indian opioid crisis, if it should happen, we consume opioids at 3 times the global average. So if an opioid crisis in India should happen, which it's heading to, it will be of a proportion that will make the US opioid crisis look like a joke. So that is something my co-founder Shrey is sitting in the crowd, so yeah. And one of the reasons we started HempStreet, one of the main reasons, is to fight chronic pain, but also to avoid the opioid crisis happening in India. So I was expecting a lot more young people, but everybody's my age here now, so it's okay. But I'll try to explain it in the most millennial way possible what HempStreet is, right? So the cannabis business is about choices. So if you look, I mean, I guess you all know what Tinder is. I don't, because I'm married. So basically, cannabis could be the next intoxicant, as you see in North America, like it's weed and it's a lot of recreational, big market size, but or it could be the next medical and wellness breakthrough, which you see in Israel or with the yeah, talking to you, man. And we decided to swipe right? So we said, let's go. We found it as a conduit to solve some of the massive chronic pain issues in India. Second is, what could it fight? So there's a big thing about, yeah, it's better than alcohol. You'd rather smoke than drink because, the alcohol lobby. Yeah, we don't care so much about that. We chose to go after mass ailments. And then there's 2 ways. There's the whole CBD, THC discussion in North America. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. CBD is good, but it's not the miracle drug that everybody touts it to be. It was a commercial decision because hemp is legal in all states in the US, and CBD is extracted from hemp. So we decided to go based on how things were structured in India, based on the fact that, like I said, India is federally legal under Ayurveda. We decided to revive the holistic whole plant-based formulations that exist in our culture for many, many years. So, I'm talking about, responsible dispensation, but being the only one in our market that's kind of done what we have, I know you avoid self-promotion in events like this, but it's impossible not to do because I don't have any other example other than ourselves. So this is really our story. So India is basically the center of every mass ailment in the world. Like anything that's a problem in the rest of the world is a major problem in India. And chronic pain is one of those things that is in such a, I mean, if you look at some of the numbers here, they're bigger than the populations of most people's countries, right? So that's the state that India was. So when we started, we said, how do we solve for these mass ailments? Like skincare and all that is great, but how do we solve for things that are literally killing people? And then how do we, basically if we're trying to avoid what happened with opioids, we've got to obviously make sure they responsibly dispense what we give out. We need to track it. India is a hybrid regulatory environment where, you can be a hero or a drug dealer. It's very binary. So from a regulatory perspective, but also from a perspective of ensuring there's safe access, but not irresponsible dispensation and avoidance of pill mills, this is something that we had to keep in mind when we started. So what do? We basically invoked Oh, I didn't correct that one. Okay, so we invoked the oldest, pharmacopoeia of medical cannabis in the world, and it's very diverse. We have Ayurveda has over 280 formulations that I would say 300 formulations for very specific ailments, and we saw that was federally legal. And again, we started with the ailment and moved upwards. So we didn't say, okay, let's be in the cannabis business and then find a patient. No, we knew what was wrong, and we said, how can we deliver the most responsibly dispensed formulations for those particular ailments? And then, of course, we didn't want to just do a 0 to 1, yeah, it's legal, let's sell it. We knew scientific validation was the future. We know that it's the responsible thing to do. So we tied up with, obviously, we manufactured GMP. We tied up with the Apex research body in India. We've ensured that we control the supply chain. But we drew, obviously we drew the formulations from the old scriptures, but we didn't stop at that. For example, CSIR is the Apex research body in India. It was headed by a Nobel nominee, and they work with us on various projects. One of them is a novel transdermal patch that we're developing. We recently won the BIRAC grant, being the first medical cannabis company to do so. So we're deeply committed to the scientific process. We skipped the whole, trying to sell CBD online. We skipped the, let's find, the safest, the legalist thing that can get you high. We skipped all those low-hanging fruit to go after things that really matter. Our first product was from menstrual cramps. 330 million women in India are of menstruating age. 158 million women suffer from debilitating cramps. And it was crazy that they had to take kind of quasi-medicines, which on the long run was hurting their kidneys and liver, and we just didn't believe that there wasn't a solution. And we obviously went after mass ailments, and we will always go after mass ailments. And as mentioned, we won the BIRAC Biotech grant. Some of the previous winners have been the guys at Bharat Biotech who developed the COVID vaccine. So we're in some prestigious company. And we continue to be committed, and thanks to the Indian government that's been quite forthcoming with supporting biotech innovation. So to give you an idea of our scale, again, most people don't know that medical cannabis is federally legal in India. So basically, we tapped into the Ayurvedic doctor network and basically registered medical practitioners. And in less than 3 years, we have a network of a little over as of today, it's, 9,100, yeah? We have over 9,100 clinics with our product on shelf across 26 states in India. So that's more legal than pretty much every country in the world outside, and the most legal in a country of our size. Avi, it's okay, I'll email you the presentation. Don't worry about it. And for the purpose of responsible dispensation, one of the things we said is we'd have to do things that the opioids industry didn't do, which is to ensure that everything is tracked, given the regulatory environment in India. And this, we did it for cannabis. We used the Stellar blockchain, so everything is recorded on the blockchain, so we are protected against even our own greed. We don't want pill mills, we don't want doctors that are over-ordering. And from the day we launched till today, we've dispensed over a little under 4 million doses, and we haven't had a single case of direct-to-consumer or illegal prescription. And I think that's pretty damn impressive, if you ask me. And I guess we'll show you a little video that kind of talks about our network and how we use the blockchain, which is actually what I was supposed to talk about. So, rock and roll. Yeah, that's our network. Pretty cool, huh? And that's all on the blockchain. And yeah, the really cool one is when you see they're all clinics. All clinics, yeah. Yeah. 9,100. Which kind of makes us the biggest clinic network in the world, actually. And yeah, this is the actual movement of product. So yeah, and we obviously have it. I mean, we have the tables that we're not going to obviously share with with actual movements, with doctors, what they prescribe, where, not what they prescribe, but where it's gone to. So we automatically know if there's a doctor that's suddenly ordering a lot, which we then, we'll obviously, we investigate that. It's never happened because the doctors are very well aware that we don't tolerate any direct-to-consumer activity. Okay, can we go back to the deck on the last slide? Yeah, just cool video. Next one. Oh, sorry, I control it, sorry. Yeah, so principally this is what we don't do, and this is how we ensure responsible dispensation. We don't do e-prescriptions. There have been doctors in India that, I won't name who, but they just you've got one doctor who's just pushing the button basically and giving whoever wants. I mean, we uploaded, Shay, didn't we upload your driver's license? And you got, they were about to prescribe you. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of people kind of trying to cash in on the cannabis business. I think one of the things I really wanted to kind of bring out is that, the first few years of the modern cannabis industry is just been recreational, which I think is okay. But the potential to impact the lives of hundreds of millions of people is really what really, in a country like India where the healthcare situation is terrible, chronic pain is the root cause of a lack of quality of life at the onset of people. Like if you look at the average Indian family, it's probably 7 members of the family with kids living in a one-room house. You add chronic pain to it, I assure you if you do an empirical study between chronic pain and domestic violence, you will find a very strong regression. So I think the ability to change people's life, that's what really should drive the cannabis industry. I have a lot of respect for people that are doing research. I would always say Israel, because Israel is the other, it's across the circle from us. So we have the pharmacopoeia, they've been doing the research, because at the end of the day, yeah, sure, recreational is great, it's a huge market, but there's a reason why this plant has been around civilizations. Almost every old civilization, whether it's Japan or Korea or India or Thailand, is because of the impact that it's had on humans, on health, on the environment, on animals. And I think it's time that we went back to that. We remember what we're in here for, right? To change, I would say to change the world. And the only way we can do that is if we are strict about how we operate, about how we scientifically validate, about how we dispense, about how we give up short-term, low-hanging fruit to go after the really cool stuff that you can do. I mean, in 5 years, if you could alleviate chronic pain or dementia for the aging population, that's way cooler than selling high THC, effing candy, So, yeah, I'm glad I could share this with you. And yeah, this is who we are. And thanks for listening.